All right. Let me see if we're streaming, guys. I don't know yet. I need to make sure the camera's on. Kind of came up without me noticing here. Cool. I think that's all good. And let me just make sure I'm selected on this. Yep, we are supposedly live. And so, yeah, if you guys want to chat, let me know. I'm just sitting here having a bowl of ice cream, which I don't ever get to do anymore, but now I am. I'm going to have all of it. And I am here in Moho, and we are going to be working on this character for a very South Park style medieval Renaissance fair group, reenactment group, kind of like satirical cartoon. It's going to be pretty, well, it's going to have some themes. It's not really for kids, but at the same time, neither was South Park. This is not for any kind of money, because otherwise, it looks too similar to their style and all that good stuff. But I just thought it would be funny because of the style and the type of humor. And it's not directly related to any particular people, even though I was part of a medieval reenactment group. And wow, the toxicity that can be in those groups is crazy. So I'm making it about me in a group like that, with all of the drama and all the wonderful things that come with it. So I have created a song. It's down here that I'm going to be eventually be animating this guy to, and then there will be a lot of other shots, coming in that, but this will be the main shot that I'm going to base it all on for the intro. And so I need to rig this guy. So he's not rigged. We just have the layer here for his bone layer that we're going to be putting all the I hit the cable, sorry. And we're going to be putting all of the bones in. I don't know why I couldn't think of what that was called. Hopefully I'm not needing to go to the hospital. So wire. There we go. As long as I don't bump it again. Alright, so let's get started. This dude, first and foremost, and this is the way I always tend to do this, is going to need a control bone. I'm just going to put this here. It's not what it looks like. Then I'm going to make a little backbone. He doesn't really need any more than that. Maybe a neck. I might opt out of this because it tends to make it move a little weird sometimes. Definitely the large head bone, the overall head bone. We're going to back up, and I think from the chest bone I'm going to create the arms here, and we'll go back up to the chest bone over here, do the same thing. And this is all it takes if you're getting into Moho and you're wanting to learn. It's a very simple program to use. Going back to the main root bone here, I think this one's based on the root bone, so I think the legs probably, either I can attach them to the spine, which I think I need to put them in the root, because if I attach them to the spine, when I move the spine, the legs are going to spin. So yes, they need to be here. They're not going to have knees. The feet I am going to give a small bone to. I'm trying to just imagine how the South Park style character works, so I'm going to do it that way. I'm also going to make a separate bone for the loot. So with that loot layer selected, actually no, it's got to be the skeleton. I'm gonna make it based on the backbone, to where when the body moves, it moves. You can move it independently, but this will overall move it that way. And we're gonna make an add a bone here for it. I'm just gonna go from head to tail on it. It doesn't need to be that way, but it will work best that way. And I think that's going to be that. Now I need to just bind all this stuff together. First and foremost, the loot layer is going to be layer bound to that loot bone. I've never said that word before, but I think I might name my band Loot Bone now. It's kind of cool. More ice cream, yo. So let's start with this torso bone. This should, we're going to do the torso, and it's going to be linked to both of these bones. A lot of time I will do point binding these. I think that's still what I'm going to do. So with that, I'm going to hide the loot. I think that's a old medieval term for adult playtime. I'm going to go ahead into that layer where the torso is here. I'm going to hide the background. It's very hard to see things with that showing right now. And let's go ahead and pin everything with this bone. Let's use that bone, and we're going to have everything with that particular bone. I think I'm just going to grab all this. I mean, that's the cool thing about this style of a character. It's so simple that it's a little bit stupid. It's almost too simple. So I'm like, wait, I talk myself out of this. And with that selected like that, I'm going to go ahead and bind those points like that. Then we're going to go back and select this bone. Sorry about my raggedy voice. Let's see. I was complaining about my life and different people earlier and doing it at great length. Okay, now I'm going to bind those points to that bone. The head does not need to be bound to anything but the head. That's another really cool, another reason why I want to do this style. It's really easy to set up. So we have that. Let's go to the head now. The entire head layer is just going to be layer bound to that. And hair and everything I think is in there, so not a worry. In fact, we can test the bones. Let's, first of all, turn off all their bone power. We need to go to the bone layer to do that. Turn on where we can see the powers here, the strength of the bones. We're going to select all the bones here like this. Select their strength there, and just turn it all down for now. And now I'm going to go to that head bone, move it around and see what happens. It should move. Yeah, that's fine. It's a little broken, but that's all right. I expected that. And this is one of the reasons why I didn't put in, was considering not putting in a neck. There's really not a lot of reason to put in the neck bone. So it is possible that I'm going to dissolve that bone out of there. Let's just select it, see if I can easily do this. I'll have to re-pin my bone to those areas, but let's see what I can do. If I hit delete, that deletes the bone with no problem. And then I'm going to come in with my scale here for that bone and just move this up until it gets to where I want it to be. Then I'm going to go back in and tell the layer where and what to be on. So we're going to go back to that torso layer. And that's the bone I want selected for it, not any other. That should automatically now select all of those. We're going to bind those points. Hopefully this will work. If not, I'll have to come up with another adjustment, but that's all right. We're going to now come in and test that bone. That's fine. This bone is pretty much fine. We can make smart bones warp and move as we need to. The arms now need to be attached. So I'm going to go to the upper right arm here. And of course that's going to be attached to this bone. And it will be these points for now. Now this is all cut out style animation. So I'm not going to do any real blends here. I want it to look like pieces of paper essentially. And I can adjust the smart bone warps and stuff and everything will look wonderful. So once that's done, we do that, and then we go down to the forearm right, and we select the bone for that. Very simple here. Fingers crossed, that is. And once that is done, we bind those. We go to the hand. This is just probably going to be a simple layer binding, I think. So if we select the proper bone, I do a layer binding to this bone. That hand will now be bound to that bone. And then we go and do the upper arm. I think we already did. So I'm going to test the arm now back in our bone layer. And this whole side should now be done other than the warps. So that looks good. That looks good too. Okay, perfect. Now let's go to the other side. This is going to be hand L needs to be bound. Let's go back to bone layer. I'm going to select that bone. We're going to also come down and find the left hand. Now this is a switch layer. So I'm going to find this, and this has to be layer bound to this. And I think that'll be fine. I think you can still switch within those just fine. Yeah, that allows them to change chords to this chord and that chord. And then the forearm layer, we might as well bind layers here. So that one will be this. And then the forearm left, forearm right, we don't need, we need the upper left. Where are you? Why is that on a, that's weird. So upper left arm is there. Torso, we got shoe. It's going to just go to this bone. Shoe right, it's going to go to this one. And the leg is going to go to this one, and the leg right will go to here. So simple. Just the warps is all we need to add in here after the fact. And then, of course, all of our other stuff, which we will deal with later. But real quick, I'm just going to test all that. Move the bone layer around, the bones on the bone layer. Da, 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 da. This will be da, 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 da. We've got yay, ha, yee, ha. Loo, do, 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 do. This, of course, is my lute. Let's turn it back on so we can see it somewhere here. There we go. So now we can move the lute, as they say. You know, all of this will be set up to be more user-friendly here. And, okay, looking good. And then, of course, he gets to jing, 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 play that. And our legs can walk eventually. This will need to be accounted for, so I'll fix that shortly. And then, of course, we got the essentially the foot. So what I'm going to do about those legs now is we're going to hide the torso. We're going to hide the lute. And let's hide the arms just for the sake of getting them out of the way. Hand, we need, let's close this up and just get rid of all that. And now the legs, what I would just, I'm just going to extend the tops of them so that they have, not going to make a gap. So with my legs, leg left, I think that was a character in Lord of the Rings, right? Oh, that was Legolas. Let's go here and here. Now that should be able to bend around without any problems, not flashing anything weird or strange gaps. I might even put one at the top just to have some good measure there. Leg left, a bit like that. All right, so now when those are turned back on, like the torso, when the leg is moved from our bone layer, when the leg is moved, we should have no real super gap. I'll fix that to warp, and then this one will do the same, and you see it looks a little bit better. So at least they're connected in some regard. The arms are going to do what the arm's going to do for now. And the head, we can worry about, let's fix that. So I'm going to turn the head off. Let's just make a back hump on our torso. That way there's no real giant reveal of this fact that there's nothing here. And that's how you would take care of it. So I'm just going to grab these points, pull this up. In fact, we can add another one if we want to, like so. And if it's too high, we'll find out. There we go. A little bit more here, maybe. So now when we turn our head back on, just going to turn everything back on. Find the head. You'll see that when I move the head from our bone layer, that it will not reveal a giant, a giant gap. It actually, has a little bit of a thing going on there. And if we do want that to be able to happen, we're just gonna have to move that arm, the upper arm, back. So we just take that arm upper, put it behind the head. If we can, can we? Looks like we can with no problem. Let's turn the loot on and check that one more time. You'll be able to tell what order these things should be in when you start moving stuff around and it doesn't work. Also, I want to parent the hand bone either to the loot or the loot to the hand bone. So I'm thinking I'm going to parent the loot or the hands both to the loot, and I'm going to also put the loot in front of the head. So right here. So now when it moves, you can see he can move it in front of his face. And then I'm going to reset this. I'm going to take the loot bone. I'm going to take the hand bones actually and parent those to the loot. So let's take the Gideon bone layer. We're going to take the reparent here. And we're going to now parent. I got to think this out. Because if I parent that to the loot, when he moves, the hand will just stick to the arm. And I really want these parented to the body, right? So how am I going to do that? It's an order thing. If anybody's watching, has anything to say hey. I'm just having some ice cream on an overcast day, which I love the overcast days. So I might have to parent the loot to the hand, which I think is okay. So the loot now is parented to the body, but I think the loot should be reparented to the hand. That way this hand can move freely and do its little jinga jinga jinga, We'll get this fixed in a second. And then when this hand moves, the loot needs to move with it. Okay, so this is not right. This one needs to be reparented to that bone. That bone is there. And then this hand needs to be parented to that, which it is. And then this bone needs to be reparented to the main bone. So I've got it parented to the hand. Nope, we want it to the backbone. Okay, so that should work better. Just double check. Then this bone needs to be parented to, of course, this bone. And now when he moves his arm, oops. Come on, Sean. That bone needs to be parented to that one. No, this one, my bad, needs to be parented to this one. And then that one, this gets very confusing sometimes. This bone, let me just select them all. This bone needs to be reparented to the upper bone. Much better. So I'm going to double check now, deselect, and move these around. And that is better. We just need to parent the layer to the bone. So the arm upper right, if I can find it, arm upper left, alrighty. Where is it? Let's see. Arm. I'm just going to see. It's in the head folder, unfortunately. So the arm upper left, or I'm sorry, the arm upper right needs to be removed and put outside of that head layer, where I still need to go farther. I'm going to put it behind the loot, but above the head for now. And then now when we move this, let's go back to our bone layer. I know, it's like learning philosophy. That works. This works. Parented to what, though? That's what I need to figure out. I think it's still parented to the thing. We need like a reach target. That's what we need. So let me see if I can accomplish that by taking this bone constraints, we need to have it target the loot bone. The loot bone, we need to figure out what the name is for that. I'm just going to select this and write loot. This should solve all the problems. So now this bone's going to target the loot bone. And I'm going to see, it says ignored by IK, but I think I want IK. Nope, absolutely. Well, that didn't work. So I'm going to try and, that's not what we want. It's taking the target from down there. So I'm going to try and move the target of that loot bone. I think the loot bone is acting as the target. Let me think about how I do. Yeah, that can't be that. So we're not going to use the loot bone as the target. That ain't good. So let's go back to here. This now is not going to be targeting that. I need to figure out how targets will work with this. Now, if I have a foot, I add a third bone, which is the target bone. It targets the shin. So if I have nothing selected, I add in what I'm going to call the loot bone. It's just like a target bone. We'll call this loot target. Pretty sure this is how this should work. Then on the loot target, I'm going to select the hand bone this time. So this one's loot target, right? Yep. Select the hand bone. Now I'm going to go here to constraints, find a target, and turn on loot target. Now it should work that when I move said loot target, it should move the hand bone. Let me turn off the power. Turn down the power of this bone. And if I move the loot target bone, yeah, that's our target. It moves the hand. Now if I parent the loot target to the loot bone, I'm hoping, but this is cool because I can always pull this away and they can change chord position or whatever. But I want to make sure that this bone now can parent to the loot on top of that. Maybe it can. So I'm going to reparent that bone now, hopefully, to this bone. It probably will screw it all up, but it's a possibility that it won't. So now when I move, you see I get this going on with some IK, which is really nice. And I'm going to try and figure out, can I move the hand bone? So if I move it now, it's going to move that without that. That's going to move that without that. Darn it. Okay. So this is going to stay locked, unfortunately. It'll turn, and it'll move like so, but it won't, what do you call it? Independently turn. I mean, that will do that, but it won't move, I don't believe, that way, because this will just move the bones without moving the hand. All right, so I'm going to have to do some thinking. I mean, it sort of works. It works in one way, but it doesn't work completely. I can move the loot up and down, which is totally cool. I'm just going to have to figure out how to get that situation better. Something to think about. Okay, so we have the loot moving. We have the hands able to strum. The loot's always going to be at that position, which is where we want it. I'm trying to think if there's a better way to do that loot, because it would be nice to break that away. It could be just not attached, you know, just unparent this bone here to nothing. So if I go in here, select that, reparent to nothing. Now when I go and move this, it'll move, and then I'll have to move the hand to do it. But at least I have this, maybe this hand control, but I can do that without that. So I don't know. Got to figure out the IK of this as well, which is what this is creating. I just don't know if that's the best way. It probably should be to the forearm bone now that I think about it. So let's try it. Take this forearm bone. So let's go ahead and go back into bone constraints. This is like that. This one, however, needs to be moved off a loot target. This one needs to be targeted to loot target probably. We'll try it. So now I should be able to move my hand independently as far as up and down or around. Definitely around. Definitely back and forth. This gives me independent angle. This gives me the movement. So that's better. This is definitely the better way to do it. But then I think that I can parent this target bone maybe to the loot. I don't know if I want to do that. I'm just going to leave it as it is for now. It works well. Okay. And I have the nice independent angle too of the hand moving still. Cool. That's good. We have no mouth movement. We need that. I need to figure out if I want to make some kind of vibrating string on these would be cool too. The legs work. The feet are going to be kind of an issue right now, so we should fix that. And to fix those, we're going to go into the legs, create an action, actually for the bones, my bad. So on the Gideon thing, into our actions, we're going to go into this and create a new action. We're going to call this, let's call that foot. And we're going to foot R. Always name your things, guys. Foot R is the name of that bone. This bone is going to be called foot L, if you can imagine that. And this is going to be leg L and leg R. It just helps, with your organization. And this will be root. Always name your root. Root. I am root. This is back or spine. I'll put spine. That's what everybody should call it. All right. Anyway, let's go fix these. So this foot here, I'm going to go ahead the foot right actually and create a new action. And this is going to be called foot right. And we're going to be able to, probably just with a 48 frame animation, do a corrective animation for this. So I am going to go in here and manipulate this bone to where when it's like this, we want the leg layer. It's crazy, I know. But that means we want the leg layer at that point to be able to be bent the other way. So we're going to grab the points and go and zoop. So this means when it goes up, we can correct it. Beautiful. Okay, and then we're going to go back to our main line, and we're going to create another action for the same bone. Boink. And we need to select this. We need to do it in the bone layer. It won't work. So right here, foot R2, not meaning foot L. This is the second action for the right foot. Going over to 48, we're going to move it the other direction now. Like this. Good enough. And find that leg layer again. Leg R. And move the points again to where they would be if the foot moved this way. So now we get this. We got to do the same thing with the other leg real quick. So we'll go back to the main line, go back to the bone layer. I'm going to close anything with this head up because it's really making this a long stretch. We're going to go here to the bone layer, select the foot, and now we're going to create a new action for the foot L. So about frame 48. I'm going to move it this way. Make sure we go to the layer of the leg and get the points in the right spot. And we'll check it out to make sure that's right. Looks pretty good. And then we're going to go back to the main line. We're going to create another action from the bone layer for the same bone, foot L2. We're going to move it the other direction, like this, and go get our leg layer. Like I said, I think that's a character in Lord of the Rings, Leg layer. And this one goes here. So now we will have, whoops, that one's got to be out at 48. So this should, let me delete that because I messed up. Let me delete that. I messed that one up. So foot L, leg L. We need to make sure it's on the bone layer. We're going to create foot L, L2. Double click it now. We are in it. That keyframe I'm going to delete. We're going to make one at frame 48. Hopefully this works. Still like so. Now we can change our pants or our leg L to be correct because I messed that up, but now I fixed it. We'll just double check that it works. Okay, back to foot L. That works too. All right, so back to the main line. Now our legs can move without being screwed up. We'll have to do essentially the same thing to the arms and hands and all of that good stuff. Who likes ice cream? I typically don't get to eat a lot of it, man. I've been eating a little bit of it lately. For years, I couldn't eat anything sweet. All right. Take care of your teeth, kids. Now, with that, I don't know if I've got that issue going on. Don't think I have a keyframe anywhere. Let's check. This says I have something somewhere. One of these bones has a keyframe, I think. I guess not. Maybe it's just... Yeah, I think that's just the default pose once it's out of frame 0. Okay. So with that, we are going to need him to move his legs. I believe will move perfectly fine now, so I'm going to check those. And they work up to, you know, a good point so that he can walk back and forth and walk back and forth. He doesn't have 180 degree spin on his feet, but nobody does. So now we have the loot here. I kind of want that parented to the body again. Now we have this that can do what it needs to do, and this that can too. And I think this might need to be parented to the body. So let's go ahead and do it. I'm just going to do it for now. So with that one selected, we will parent to here. All right, cool. Now that when his hand moves, you know, it moves its own way. The loot moves its own way, which it needs to do exactly like this. Cool. Now when his body moves, the loot moves with it too. Cool. All right, that works for me. This can go chugga chugga, and then this does whatever we tell it, you know, that it needs to do. But see, the arms break. This way, they also break at the shoulder. So let's fix his left arm. So in the bone layer, I'm going to select this bone, give it an action. Let's call this bone first, though, upper left. And we're going to make that action now. Say OK. And about frame 48, I'm going to give it a bend this way, which looks totally fine. This way, not as much. So let's go ahead and find the upper arm left. We're going to move these points around until they look good. Something like that. Just double check it. So somewhere in the middle needs some correction, of course, which is typical. Yeah, that works. That's upper arm left 1. We don't really need a 2. because I tested it. It looks fine. So now we'll go back to the bone layer, back to the main line, and I'm going to do the forearm here. So this is going to be forearm L, and we're going to create at frame 0, forearm L, and new action. Let's call that bone forearm L though. So with that, create the action. And now at frame 48, and I'm just picking frame 48 as an arbitrary frame that makes sense. Gives me enough space to do this. I'll pull this back. That's as far as we probably really want that to go, unless we might flip his arm around, honestly. So I'm going to fix that to where it can. Like if I flip the hand or do something like that. Let's go ahead and take that forearm L now. At frame 48, we're going to complete this movement and make it look good. Let's see how it looks when it goes back. Okay, so about here, I'm going to make this not bunching up like a baby arm. And just like this for now to see what happens. Somewhere along here, we do want that to connect. We can even change the curve over time, which is beautiful. I mean, talk about a great thing in a program like this. So now we've got that. You can adjust and adjust and adjust all day long. Sometimes you don't need to, but I like to be a little picky about some of it. That's not working there for me. Some of this has to do with the other points and curves, and as they are animated, they throw each other out of whack a little bit, but that's okay for the moment. And that's going to go up, which that is fine up to that point. Not a big fan of that. Maybe. Yeah, see, that breaks till it gets here. Which would be fine if it was better. So we're going to go ahead and pull that back up here. See how this works. That's probably okay. It's going to be very fast. And that hand will switch around to a different hand or turn and swing around itself. So that's going to be okay for that. Back to the main line now. We go the other direction on that forearm. And boom, forearm L2. Now that one's got to go the other direction and see about its breaking. Something like that. So forearm L again. This one's going to get treated this way. And probably something like that when it's here. But then this one's going to really have to meet this side at some point, somehow, some way. Don't know why there's two. It's kind of weird. Oh, so that's the lower arm. All right, so when it's here, we need to start dropping this down and pulling this over, or one of these has to start meeting. I'll figure it out. So that one's doing that. You know what I'm going to do? Because I'm not going to do all that junk I just did. Let me fix this back out from there. We're going to add that line back in. So that's the culprit. So that guy right there on the upper left needs that piece replaced. So I'm just going to go back in here and turn that line back on. Let's go back to out of the main line, and we're going to take that on frame 0. We're going to say, hey you buddy, I'm going to turn off the forearm real quick so I can see what I'm doing. That line right there needs to be turned back on. All right, so that's fine. And let's go back into now that particular action for forearm L2 as we push it forward. Much better already. You know, no one's going to question that being right or not. In fact, let's just adjust the lines a little more. Forearm L, like that. That maybe even. That way we get a nicer. Yeah, that's better. Okay. We'll see if it's weird when we actually do anything with it, but I think that's going to work. So that arm's done for now. Now we're going to try the other arm. So let's go back to our bone layer, and we're going to check this guy. Right now, if I move it, we get a break in the shoulder, and underneath we get a break in the top and bottom. So yeah, I also want to get rid of that brown line. So in the upper right, frame 0, we're going to hide this line and this line. For starters, we're going to create an action now for that bone. Smart action. We need to name that upper right. Good to go. Now we can go in and create that action. And right here, frame 48, I'm going to just go ahead and do the lift up this way. It's extreme, but it's on purpose. Let's figure out how that's going to all play out. Within this action, this is going to be upper right. If I can find it. There we go. Deselect everything. I want this to kind of stay. That probably needs to kind of do this number, kind of hide that color. So let's see. When this is here, also needs to kind of stay. So I don't want that situation happening. So this really kind of needs to do that a little. This can move down, accommodate for that thickness. I don't want this up. Let's move this a little farther along so it's a smoother transition. Also, that should probably be like that too. Sorry, guys. I think that will work fine for that. We're going to come back out. We're now going to create upper R2. That will be here. And this one's going to move the other direction, so we're going to go like this. Obviously, we have a clip through the mandolin or the lute there. So one thing I want to do on the upper left, I'm sorry, the upper right, again, is to make this not do what it seems to be doing here, revealing anything. For starters, halfway through, I'm just going to sort of pull this and this. So it feels like it's bending, folding over that front piece. And we got this kind of going on. All right, so from here now, keep this up, keep this down. A little bit of flex is probably because it's not linear, so I'm going to swap this out for linear. See if that helps us somewhat. Let me get rid of one of these because I think it's wrong. It was the other one, of course. So there, and this goes to that, but I don't care for the way that's happening. So it's going to be that one that's probably more wrong. I'm just going to start rounding that piece over like this, where you can't see what's happening there. I guess that's okay. Closer that way, maybe. Maybe drop this more. Gonna have to account for that though, so right about here. Move that in. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's good. All right, so now for the upper, we can go out and in. You know, that way when he plays, it's something weird, and he can lift his arm pretty high up, and he can lift it up really high up here. So now we need to worry about this break. So back on frame 0, back in here, we're going to select the forearm, and we're going to name it, making sure that's correct. Selecting it, it is not named, so forearm R. And now we're going to add an action for it. And I am going to go to frame 48. And we're going to go out with it the long way. So forearm R, or right. I'm going to move these guys around now. Let's see what happens with this. Obviously, there's some correction to be done. This will wind up being kind of like the straight position here. Now we stay straight, stay forward. Okay, there we go. This can be more here. So when this goes up, that is better. I don't like that though, so I'm going to go ahead and pull that back out. Don't say pull it out. All right, there we go. To here, like this. Not bad. I think that one though still needs to be shorter. That could be more like that maybe. Because he has these short little arms. We'll have to deal with this at some point, depending upon what it's going to do. For the intro, you know, where he's playing music, I don't think I'm going to have to worry about it. But later on we will. And that line needs to not be just a line. It's got to be an upper arm, which it is. Upper right, where are we? It's forearm right. Upper arm right. Yeah, see, we just need to start. We need to make that have a full line on it. So let me jump back out of the main line into that upper right, and then I'm going to add that line back in. That way, when we are back up here, and I move this arm around, when we reveal this, we can see, yeah, a full or a fuller line. Obviously, that's going to have to be dealt with it at some point too, but for now I think this works. Cool. All right, so as far as vibrating strings, I'm not going to worry about it at the moment. I'll probably put like a couple frames that look like they're vibrating, like smears for each string. And in the meantime, let's see. Just trying to imagine what I need to do. I think I have both the in and the out pretty much good. All right, so that upper arm needs to move in front of the loot, which may or may not cause a problem. So when you move it in front of the loot, it is better. Yeah, because no one's gonna know. And if you reach really far, your arm would be in front of that loot, so that's good. Works for me. This is still not working on the upper. I don't know why. That's weird. I have to fix that, but I'm not going to worry about it this very second. I just kind of want to get this guy able to do something. I think the head still needs to be farther in front of absolutely everything except the loot. So definitely in front of the arm. Which may cause a problem too, because the upper arm needs to be in front of the loot, but the head needs to be in front of that, but the head also needs to be behind the loot. Because if I do this, you know. So I think what needs to happen is the head just needs to not bob that far. I mean, how easy, I guess, would that be? Okay, so let's worry about what else needs to really be worried about. But I think overall it's really good. I do believe I have both arms. Do I have both arms taken care of? If not, then that's the next thing. Let's see, where am I at? Frame 0, forearm, and we're gonna... what's going on? Well, what is going on with that? This is... Oh, because it's a... Yeah. It's got the fun stuff on it. Inverse kinematics. So that upper left, yeah, it needs to go in front of the torso. Not in front of the head, I don't think. So that way when this moves, we don't get any weirdness there. Need to make sure I'm right about that. Let's get this out. Make sure my layer stays the same. I'm going to have to adjust the lines, obviously. But yeah, it works pretty good except for the upper of the upper. The down works, but the upper of it doesn't work. So that's probably what I forgot. So also those lines need to be essentially silenced. Frame 0, we're here. And we need to go to the layer of the upper left. And I need to hide some edges. This one, this one, this one at least, maybe even that one. Now we can double check that that looks okay. Move the target bone. That looks okay to me. I don't care if the back one is not on at the moment. It is, but it partially isn't. And then that's going to be a pain. I'm going to have to because once he whips his arm around and stuff, it's going to be weird until it's not. And yeah, that's going to be hard. So right now he's just good for this position. He's just going to do this. Oh, baby. And so I need to fix the action for the lifting up of his upper left arm here. That's the upper left, making sure we are correct. That is needing to be on the bone layer. So that's the down. I didn't think I needed an up, but I do. So we're going to go up to the upper left here. Adjust a couple of those points real quick to get those correct. And then we need to do the upper left 2. So back up to the main line. Upper left. Back to the bone layer. Where's my upper left? I'm going to add another one for the upper left. Upper left 2. And that one will come out. And now that's what I had forgotten. We're going to move it. Nope. remove it. And then I'll go in with the upper right, or I'm sorry, upper left. It's hard to remember. I don't know why, but it is. All these guys need to be pretty backed off from this collar. See how that plays in the middle. Not sure why we're bunching up like that, but we are. Okay, so this comes down. I don't like that slow and steady move there either. You can see that sort of creeping across there. So I think at this point it already needs to be there, which I'm okay with. Something kind of like that. Let's just see how that works here. I think that's fine. You're never going to know either way. So back up to the main line. Let's just check the forearm left now, making sure all is good with that going all directions. So right now it's good there, and it looks okay all the way for this guy. I can live with that. Cool. Now we need facial animation and everything else. So I'm going to go ahead and stop for now. I'll be back later on.